It's the Daily Doug.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Daily Doug. Thanks for being with me today. My friends, on the Daily Doug, most of the time I am looking at your suggestions, music that I have never heard before, and it's new to me, and I tell you what I think, and it's all a fun time. Rarely, though, I include songs that I know and I have known for a long time. And today is such a day. We're going to be looking at Goodbye Yellow Brick Road from Elton John and Bernie Taupin. And I'm happy that you're here. It's a Masterpiece Friday. We're finishing the week and it's a classic, all-time classic song. And I gotta tell you, friends, I have thought about including this on the channel previously, but I've shied away from it because I know the song pretty darn well. I've heard it and loved it for years and years and years. I've even strained when to sing along when Elton goes for the high note in the refrain. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? So the reason why I'm bringing it today is because I have recently heard a absolutely astounding cover of this song performed by Sara Bareilles. And I wanted to take the opportunity to compare and contrast Elton's original version with Sara's orchestral cover. And we're going to have a fun time looking at how the song performances are similar and how they're different. And in the process, we're going to see what makes this song tick, and it's going to be quite fun. So this song is the title track from Elton's seventh album, released in October of 1973. It's a big double album with 17 tracks, and they've got some all-time great songs on this album, including Candle in the Wind, Benny and the Jets, Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, Funeral for a Friend, and Love Lies Bleeding, and of course our title track, which served as the second single released from the album. Elton and his band returned to France to a studio where they had recorded Honky Chateau and Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player, where they recorded this album as well. And as usual, Elton and his songwriting partner Bernie Taupin worked really quickly to work up the lyrics and music to these songs. They composed pretty much everything for this album in less than a month. And it's just astounding to me just to observe how quickly these guys work and just how much Elton relies on his instincts and his training. And he's got great instincts as a songwriter and musician, doesn't he? One of the greats, one of the greats. So the lyricist, Bernie, is making use of this cultural phenomenon in this song known as The Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum, right? It's one that we all know, so it's one of these story metaphors that you can bring in to a piece because it's something that is in the public eye and everybody knows about it. It's a really interesting metaphor that expresses a longing desire to leave the glitz and glamour of a fast-paced celebrity lifestyle and return to a quieter existence away from the hustle and bustle of public life. And I always thought that the lyrics in the song were a reflection of Elton's desire to return to the farm, to escape to the farm, right? But it turns out that this is more autobiographical of Bernie than it is of Elton. And in the process here, Bernie is using this metaphor of the yellow brick road as a life of gold and luxury and stardom, and saying that his future relies somewhere else, that he's more comfortable out of the limelight and just hanging out and being quiet and peaceful on a farm and enjoying that style of life. And it's going to be great to hear it again and try to pick out what's going on harmonically as well as melodically and with the lyrics and everything else. So it's going to be fun. First, we're going to start with Elton and Bernie's original studio recording, and then we'll go to Sara's cover. So we've got Elton John on piano and vocals, Davy Johnstone is on guitars, Dee Murray is on the bass, and Nigel Olsson is on the drums. All of the guys sing backing vocals. We also have Dell Newman as our arranger. So here is the original studio recording of Goodbye Yellow Brick Road from Elton John. Here we go. F major.
When are you gonna come down? When are you going to land?
It's a similar progression.
I should have stayed on the phone. I should have listened to my
Lands back on F.
You know you
2
can't hold me forever. I didn't sign up with
to
you.
4, flat 7 to 5, and then back to F. And then different key. But very quickly moves back into F where it came from. Going back to my plow on the farm. That's flat 6, 7, 6, 5, 4, 5. Somewhere else. I'll tell you about it in a minute. Can't even sing that high. Neither can Elton, which is why he hasn't performed this in many years.
What do you think you'll do then? I bet they shoot down the plane. It'll take you a couple of accurate tonics to set you on your feet again.
So he starts on the 2 and goes up by a 4th, goes to 1, goes up a 4th, and then goes down to the E flat. That's the sequential pattern in this verse. You can't plant me in your penthouse, I'm going back to my plow. The alliteration's wonderful. The melody is wonderful. That's toad. That's the word that he says there. Can't sing that high. Lovely string arrangement. And brightens back up again as it lands back on F, and we finish the song. All of that in about 3.5 minutes or less. And that's the song. It's really incredible, isn't it? So a couple of things. I'm going to move over here and tell you about this. So we're in F major, right? But the song starts on the 2. 1 to 4, then flat 7 to 5, right? And you know you can't hold me forever. Now where does he go? Right? So let's talk about that for a second. You've got a sequential pattern. It's really cool. It starts with 2-5-1, G minor, 2, 5, 1 goes to F, and just as 2 went to 5, 1 goes to 4. And just as, you know, the other ones went up a 4th and down by 5th, this is also going to go down by 5th to the E flat, which is flat 7. Elton changes that pattern and gives us the 5 chord, and then resolves us back home, right? And then we do the cycle again. So when we get to that crazy verse, or the refrain, I should say, he goes to there. Right? You can just keep playing and playing and playing. But where he goes there, to be D flat. That's flat 6 from where we've been in F major. So he's using a chord that is connected to F, but it's connected to F's minor key. Okay? The D flat goes to E flat. That's now 4 to 5 in A flat major. Goes to D flat, then B flat minor, then C. That's minor 4 to 5 back in F major, which is how he gets back. One more time, this is how he does this. On the D flat, E flat, which is 4 to 5 to 1 to 4. And then the B flat minor is now the minor 4 back in F to the 5 chord C. So Goobye Yellow Brick Road. It's really, really amazing, isn't it? Such a great, great tune, and it's so fun to play. I've really enjoyed playing along to Elton's music over the years. Being a person who's drawn to the keyboard, Elton's intelligence with his chord progressions and his melodies, combined with the great words from Bernie Taupin, are just a combination that we can't seem to get enough of all these years later, right? It's part of why Elton is who Elton is. So I want to move on to Sara's version. And she's one of these musicians, y'all, that have really, truly inspired me and astounded me every time I hear her work. She's won multiple Grammys, and she's been nominated many times for Emmys, more Grammys, and Tonys. Of particular note is her musical, Waitress, which she composed both the music and the lyrics for. It's an astounding piece of work. So a few weeks ago, it's around the beginning of the year, I'm hanging out on YouTube, and the algorithm gifts me with this New Year's Eve performance that Sara gave with the National Symphony Orchestra at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. on New Year's Eve, right? So on the 31st. And of course, I clicked on it, and I was mesmerized by this cover. I think it sounds absolutely incredible. And what I didn't realize at the time was that Sara has been doing a cover of this song, Goobye Yellow Brick Road, for many years. I've seen live recordings of her singing this when I read in as early as 2013. So this is something that she's been doing for quite a while. It's in her own repertoire, and she's kind of made it her own for a new generation of musical fans. So I want to take a look at Sara's cover and try to find out what she did really to adapt this song. Is it in the same key? How are they doing things a little bit differently with an orchestra versus the full band? So this is Sara Bareilles doing her cover of Elton John's Goobye Yellow Brick Road. Here we go. Starts with an open fifth. Same open fifth.
When are you gonna come down?
Boy, and the sustained nature of that.
Going to land? Should have stayed on the farm. Should have listened to my old man.
Suspensions in the held notes
No, you can't hold me forever.
give this a melancholy feel.
Didn't sign up with you. Not a present for your friends to open. This boy's too young to be singing the blues.
Simple pizzicato in the low strings.
So goodbye, Yellow Brick Road, where the dogs of society howl.
beautiful low warm brass. Crowd singing along.
Going back to my plow, back to the howling old owl in the woods, hunting the horny black toad.
Toad. She sings it right.
Oh, I finally decided my future lies beyond the yellow brick road.
Ooh, she goes to do there. Lovely, with flat 6, flat 7, 1 over the top of it.
What do you think you'll do
2 to
then?
5.
I bet they shoot down your plane.
Flat
Take
7.
you a couple of vodka and tonics to get you on your feet again.
Same key, y'all.
Maybe you'll get a replacement. There's plenty like me to be found.
Butter. Her voice is butter.
Mongrels who ain't got a penny, sniffing for tidbits like you on the ground. So goodbye, yellow brick road, where the dogs of society howl. Can't plant me in your penthouse. I'm going back to my plow, back to the howling old owl in the woods, hunting the horny black toad. Oh, I finally decided my
7,
future
6,
lies
5,
beyond the
4, 5,
yellow brick
flat 6. That's 4 to 5 in the new key.
Goodbye, yellow brick road, where the dogs of society howl. You can't plant me in your penthouse. I'm going
Muted brass.
back to my plow, back to the howling old owl in the woods, hunting the horny black toad.
That's a lovely appoggiatura. Goes up to the 9th of that chord before it resolves
I
in.
finally decided my future lies. I finally decided my future lies. I finally decided my future lies beyond the yellow brick road.
Beautiful. Deceptive cadence to D flat, and then up to E flat. And she's singing enough. It's so good, right? It was so good I had to watch it again. Watch it twice. PBS. Thank you, PBS, for being so great. I love PBS. This is quite a bit. Okay, I'm gonna stop that. Thank you, PBS. You've done what you need to do. Right? It's so darn good. Now, what I found really interesting was that she didn't change the key. It's the exact same key that the original is in. And I've heard over the years that Elton, when that really high note, it's a D flat. It's a high D flat. It's not easy for a guy to do that. And he didn't want to change the key or lower the key to allow him to more easily sing it. And he didn't want to change the melody either, because that big leap is so romantic. It's like you're taking that leap out of the control of the Yellow Brick Road, and now you can escape and go to your plow on the farm. The thing that really struck me, that set the tone at the beginning, was that open fifth. Did you hear it? Now we're in F there, but it starts, like we said, on the 2 chord. 2 to 5 to 1, right? So she takes the 2, the G, and a fifth above it, the D. So the G and the D as Re and La of the key fit in to that first part. And then when you get to the C, it's almost like if I fill it in, the G and the D can be part of that C chord, right? Then they're kind of upper neighbors or extended fifths when it gets to the F chord. Sorry. Right? And when it gets to the B flat, it's kind of like an added 6, a B flat add 6. And then it's the same 2 notes, G and the D, are in that E flat chord as well if you add a major 7th. And then there's the back to the C chord, and then it's something that establishes this ability of the music to be sustained and to take on a more almost a surreal perspective and sound, a plaintive, a penitive, a longing sort of sound that I think lives up to the spirit of the piece and almost does it better than the original. Sorry, Elton, but that's such a wonderful arrangement that she did, and she sings it so well. It just makes me happy to hear it when a musician like Sara can sing so well. She doesn't have to rely on auto-tune or any of those special studio tricks to make her singing sound good. Every time I've heard her sing, she's just on top of it. And it's special every single time. So if you're not as familiar with Sara Bareilles, you're welcome, friends. Take a look. She will not disappoint you. Her music is wonderful. And so when I heard that there shortly after the beginning of the year, I'm like, okay, we're doing Goobye Yellow Brick Road, and we're doing it in January. And so that's where we land today with this particular episode. This album, y'all, Goobye Yellow Brick Road, the original one, is regarded as one of Elton's all-time bests, and its sales back that up. It is still his best-selling studio album of his entire career. And all these years later, it is certified 8 times platinum. And that's a lot of people who have this record all over the world. And the album has been inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. Of course, Elton has almost every accolade that you can think of, and deservedly so. He's put in the work. And for as long as I can remember, as a kid who was born in the late 70s and who was brought up, in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, it's his music, especially the music of The Lion King, and all throughout that portion of his career, I've loved Elton's music for a long, long time. And so it's especially rewarding to share some of his music on the channel with y'all today. I hope you enjoyed it. I surely did. I hope you can tell. I love doing music that I've never heard before, because I'm curious to hear what all of y'all love and what you want me to hear. But there's something special about coming back to a song that I've known for a long, long time, that I'm sure that y'all know, and remembering why it's so special and just celebrating it for a few minutes. Plus, we get to hear a darn fascinating and beautiful cover version of that original track from Elton and Bernie. So wonderful, right? Thanks, y'all. This has been a wonderful week. I've got a lot coming up next week, but that is all for me today. I thank you for being with me, and we'll see you next time on another edition of The Daily Doug.
It's the Daily Doug. Welcome to the Daily Doug. The Daily